and the fact that they had this deal where they were going to trigger some credit default swaps artificially by defaulting, and now there's back and forth. Help us.
Yes, it's even hard to explain. It's like kind of a diagram that you have to draw in order to understand it. But essentially, it's a face-off between a unit of Blackstone, which is called GSO, their credit unit, and basically some other hedge funds and even Goldman Sachs in the market. And it's basically like a battle between Blackstone, which wants to refinance some of the company's debt and trigger some payouts through these credit default swap, and others who have sold insurance essentially on credit default swaps. And they're basically playing a game of supply and demand in the market with this company in the middle, which is a New Jersey home builder.
But the one thing I can figure out is something can't be right here, because they had
on their mortgages bought at ultra high valuations, and as rates start to probably more than they can buy, and as they're defaulting, making it much harder to service the debt in this environment, this is going to be the beginning of many. And it's not even the defaults that matter to me as much as it is the daisy chain, the domino effect, the systemic nature of it all, and listening to the FDIC, who says, hey, there's going to be bank runs, there's going to be bank failures. The institutions know this. The people need to know this, but if we let them know, it'll lead to unintended consequences. Well, it won't take many more of these types of events where the people are going to know and be caught up in it very quickly. As it is, I believe Blackstone hasn't been allowing redemptions from several of their banks. You look at BlackRock, and this isn't the first time they've done this. I believe they did something similar to this, or maybe it was Blackstone just a month or two ago. But you're beginning to see the inability to service debt via rising interest rates. And that in and of itself is troubling. But what becomes more troubling is realizing the systemic nature of everything. Everyone is tied together. Everyone has invested with other companies and other institutions and have based all of their premises upon the ability of these counterparties to perform. And you start to see one fail, like a Blackstone fund or like Credit Suisse, and what happens to the rest of the system? You go back to 2008 and with Lehman Brothers failing and Bear Stearns, and they talked about bailing out AIG as they were staring into the abyss.
Of America's second largest bank just said that they are preparing for the U.S. government to default on its debt. CEO Brian Moynihan of Bank of America talked about the possibility of the United States defaulting on its debt, saying, quote, "You hope it doesn't happen, but hope is not a strategy. So you prepare."
It's so messy in many ways in Oakland. The ransomware attack in that city has taken a new twist.
Yeah, weeks after hackers managed to take over several city systems, they've started posting employees' personal information online. Here's NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones.
It's perhaps one of the greatest challenges I've seen for the city.
Nearly a month after hackers essentially froze all city online services, the city of Oakland is now dealing with a data breach impacting city employees and businesses.
Not only do we have safety on the streets from the potholes to the crime activity, but now we're dealing with this other challenge.
Councilmember Noel Gallo says he's still trying to get his city computer to work, and at the same time, he's hearing new issues from concerned business owners. While services like 311 are back, the city is issuing extensions for things like business taxes until April 17th because the city's website is still down.
Our personal information, our name, our address, our driver's license number, our social security number, those are very alarming concerns.
Councilmember Treva Reed and all 4 members of her staff received this letter over the weekend notifying them that their personal information may have been compromised. Reed says small business owners have also received the same notice, but don't know the extent of the information shared.
It certainly is one of those things that you personally feel alarmed, not knowing what information, who has that information.
In the letter, the city offers impacted staff members a membership to identity theft resolution programs and asks staff to monitor their accounts for the next 24 months. The group now claiming responsibility for the attack is called Play. San Jose State professor and cybersecurity expert Ahmed Banafa says the group is known to target schools and government organizations.
Play it's basically
the plane is headed past the self-governing island of Taiwan, which China claims as its own. to the South China Sea, which China also claims almost all for itself, ignoring competing claims from countries like Vietnam and the Philippines. Some 30 miles from the Chinese-occupied Paracel Islands, a Chinese voice crackles over the radio.
American aircraft, this is the PLA Air Force. You are approaching Chinese airspace. Keep a safe distance or you'll be intercepted.
That's when the Chinese People's Liberation Army fighter jet appears, flying so close you can see the pilots in their cockpit.
PLA fighter aircraft, this is U.S. Navy P-8 on VHF 121.5. I hold you off my left wing and I intend to continue to proceed to the west.
The Chinese pilot never responds, but eventually leaves when the U.S. plane turns south.
It's like oil spots as they build on one reef and then build on another.
Commodore Will Torreson shows the network of man-made islands China built on what had been coral reefs claimed by other countries.
Our number one focus here is to ensure that we have continued access alongside all of our allies and partners to international airspace and international waters.
The U.S. presence here aimed at preventing further encroachment by China.
X-ray Charlie copies, no worries.
We're flying at a low altitude, 1,000 feet, a little more than 300 meters above sea level, east of Taiwan, looking for a Chinese warship currently believed to be operating in these stormy waters. The plane spots a Chinese guided missile destroyer.
U.S. aircraft, this is Chinese Navy warship. You are approaching me. Keep safe distance away from me. Over.
I'm a United States military aircraft and I will remain a safe distance from your unit.
A cat and mouse game between two rival militaries in one of the most hotly contested regions in the world. Ivan Watson, CNN, over the South China Sea.